Hello. So I'm basically uh, just full of knowledge, and I mean to share this with everyone. Now, there's quite a bit of stuff going on in the universe, and we can almost sense that there is something opportunistic about the general direction of things, and what we really just need to do is find a trajectory of things to make our mark on the world, and maybe that's what it's all about, and maybe not, and I just want to figure that out, I guess. Of course, you can't just say something, right? And that's all right. I mean, I'm not, I'm just saying whatever comes to mind, kind of. And on the other hand, maybe I'm just riffing it, just saying whatever in a hope that there will be some release from this endless thing that we call existence or happiness or whatever. The thing is that we really do need to say something. I'm bound to say that there is something coherent to every statement, You're just kind of flowing along with what is going on, and there might be something to this and there might not be. I mean, I could have chosen to say something coherent here today, right? I could have chosen to basically share my thoughts about a certain subject. Yeah. So yeah, I just want to make these kind of podcasts in which I don't know, I'm just saying, yeah, I'm just wasting time, really. And yet, I'm just sitting around doing nothing, really. I mean, in the past, I used to talk to myself a lot, and that's all great, but as a matter of fact, I just don't really get any kick out of that anymore. I mean, I have other things to do these days, and when I'm done doing everything for the day, then I like to watch television. It's true. It's true, but, I don't really find watching television all that inspiring. I actually kind of prefer just thinking, I guess. Well, I'm not thinking right now. I wouldn't call this thinking. Thinking. Someone said, the structured thoughts. We have structured thoughts, but only for a few moments in our life. Now, I was on the train today, and I certainly had some structured thoughts. But I realized that costs a lot of energy and it's not necessarily rewarding, you know? So there is actually almost no reason to do structured thoughts other than to achieve peace of mind or, just connect with people maybe. I was wondering about this. I mean, some people do see your potential, in social intercourse, you know. And then you can make a connection, maybe. Let's just leave it at contact, right? You can have contact with people, right? That's already remarkable, that's already amazing, awesome, when people contact you, when you have contact with people. It's rare in today's society. I'm not a religion nut. I don't think that we can connect through religion per se. But on the other hand, I kind of feel that you can get a whole lot of stuff done just by being yourself. And, well, on the other hand, I do feel that everything is religious to some extent. I mean, religion affects every walk of life, and it can change the way we are, right? It can change the way we make decisions, right? And in some ways, that is certainly a boon. All right. So yeah, I've pretty much said everything there is to say about that at this point. I mean, we live in dark times, right? There really isn't a whole lot to do, and there really isn't a whole lot of meaning in life, and so on and so forth. Yeah. So basically, I don't make this podcast to make friends, okay? Really, I do this to waste time, as I said. I'm nihilistic sometimes, don't really see the point of existence, and there are a couple of things that I do, right? I watch Let's Plays. I find that very nice and nihilistic, nice and pointless, and I did make a Let's Play the other day. I intend to do so again. But that's not necessarily nihilistic, I intend to read L. Ron Hubbard's 10-volume science fiction novel. I think that's rather nihilistic, but yeah, I don't know. Nihilism isn't really a choice. It's not really a lifestyle, I suppose. No, it's just we do what we do, we encounter what we encounter, and we think what we think, right? And as I said, I don't consider making a podcast to be an feat of thought or even a logical pastime. It's just it's just like writing, I like writing, kind of. But I always feel that writing spontaneous prose like Jack Kerouac meant it, right, is somewhat foolish, right? I mean, a book is an opportunity to think, right? I mean, thinking doesn't even need to happen in a book per se. I mean, having a brilliant theory of everything, kind of, that's hard work, right? Thinking, on the other hand, just starting from scratch, right? I did it on a train, and it's really not that hard. It's just basically doing whatever you want. It does cost energy. I mean, thinking costs more energy than talking. I swear to God. Yeah. Anyway, what I said, I made a Let's Play the other day, and what I found when I made that Let's Play was that it is actually very easy during a Let's Play to say things, right? And I tried to apply this to my past experiences with podcasts, in which I would kind of get stuck in loops, and I would just get stuck in just saying, just, it didn't feel like talking, right? It didn't feel like talking. It felt more like making noise, right? So that was scary. And I didn't have this when I made the Let's Play. In the Let's Play, I could talk in a chummy, nice, friendly way, and it felt like I was saying things, I didn't really feel like I was saying important things, but at least it didn't feel like I was just making noise or something like that, right? But I moved on since then. I progressed, and now I feel that writing, and by extrapolation, also talking, or monologuing rather, I don't really know what this is possible, right? I feel that writing is within my reach right now. But yeah, I feel that a podcast is still less significant, perhaps, than writing, I mean, writing is no big deal, really, but when you're writing, you cannot really make small talk, right? Of course, I don't know if what I'm doing right now is, strictly speaking, small talk. I mean, small talk is a skill, right? As any artist will tell you, small talk is a skill, right? It is it is also actually a weakness, right? I mean, as any Stoic will tell you, right? Stoics tend to also be rather taciturn, right? And it's often best to say nothing, as Mark Antony says in Rome, I mean, this is why I call this more like monologuing, I'm I'm really just I'm moving my pawns over the map, as Freud called it, right? I'm not actually in conversation with someone. I'm not trying to be affable, right? Um, Although that is an entirely different kind of activity, perhaps. You see, as when I said I know things, right? Not profound things, but I do know things, and I'm making this podcast just to share what I know, kind of. But on the other hand, I'm hoping to just kind of get into the zone, and just kind of meander, or whatever you would like to call this. I mean, I think there is a lot of potential in wasting time, right? I mean, as I said, I watch Let's Plays. I think that's nice and nihilistic, right? But I actually found that, with podcasts, it's kind of hard to find properly nihilistic podcasts. I mean, whenever you say something and people have to listen to it, right, there's already something pointless about it, I suppose. It's already ridiculous that you're saying something in the first place. So I suppose, to make a podcast about nothing, to put it in a Seinfeld kind of sense, a podcast about nothing, maybe it's impossible, right? I mean, I'm not sure what to title this podcast. I just started talking, kind of. I mean, talking to yourself is easier, perhaps, than talking in a group, right? I mean, people choose to listen to this YouTube thing, They'll click on it, right? It's a choice. They probably have nothing better to do at this point in time. They're at your mercy. So it's easier than talking in a group where everybody's sharing opinions and really just being nice and all. I mean, it's something different than this. Back in the day, I used to make podcasts too about maybe movies and all that. And that felt really like nihilistic. I mean, talking for the sake of talking is not nihilistic, right? You're not negating anything. You're asserting, you're affirming, you're asserting something. You're activating something. You're planting the seeds of of an idea in someone's mind. So it's not nihilistic per se. Like when it's about a movie, it's more nihilistic because a movie can be a waste of time. A movie can be a B movie. I mean, is that the thing about Star Wars, right? That it is really a B movie? Well, I don't know if that's true, but it could be true. So yeah, not nihilistic then. I'm not nihilistic, right? Then what am I, right? I mean, I consider this a kind of nihilistic podcast. It's just me talking, not really trying to say anything important, per se. I'm just seeing where my words take me, I don't think it's necessarily easier than writing on a keyboard, writing on a text editing software, I mean, Jack Kerouac, he used to sweat profusely when he was typing, because he had to achieve that level of spontaneity, and he had to somehow get into the zone, and he had to put all this into writing. It's really hard, right? But doing it with live vocal things, right, that is also hard because it requires concentration, right? It doesn't really require physical effort, but it requires concentration, right? If I forget what I wanted to say, or if I lose the track of my thoughts or whatever, then this podcast will go wrong, right? And I have to articulate well. I don't know. It's not easy, but I consider it kind of nihilistic because I'm not trying to say anything important, right? I mean, if I write like the way I'm talking right now, it would just be a stream of words, right? And I like that, right? I like a stream of words, and you don't need to do anything. You don't need to force anything to achieve that in writing. In recording, which is similar to writing, I know you don't have to. I mean, yeah, you kind of do have to do this because there is a timer that's moving, right? Still, I could take my time. I could write a script and read it to you, but that wouldn't be quite the same, right? I mean, spontaneity is a mysterious force, right? So that's why I'm not recording this per se for the spontaneity. I'm recording this for the nihilism. I just wanna. I mean, I don't quite approve of Jack Kerouac's style, right? I think it's a waste of time. Truly, it's. I mean, it's a natural kind of, right? Writing is not spontaneous. And they say that writing is not even language, right? That's what they say, right? Not, I think that's a bit harsh, but just consider it that way, right? Consider it that writing is not language, right? How unnatural is it to try to have some kind of spontaneous prose in that way, right? I mean, I think that part of the reason that you have to think when you're writing is because you have to put it grammatically, right? You have to put it in words. You can't just make a noise and explain what you mean or something like that. So that's something that we need to consider, right? And there's more, right? It's like a text, right? A text doesn't go anywhere. You can easily reread a passage, right? There's something fundamentally different between listening and speaking. I mean, I like to listen to the news podcast in the morning, to start my day that way. That really gives me a boost, right? But to read the newspaper, right, that doesn't give me a boost. That makes me feel terrible sometimes, right? I really need a reason to read the newspaper, right? So that's kind of funny in that way. I mean, you don't know what someone in a podcast is going to say. All you see is this timer that's moving, right? And you know how long it is. So you're willingly surrendering an hour of your life away to someone rambling on about some random topic, right? I mean, this is why podcasts can never contain important information, right? So it's a really special kind of exercise. The point of being silent also, right? That's really fundamental to my podcast today. I mean, I was just sitting down in that chair just now and I was thinking about making this podcast, and I thought, you gotta, let fall a silence, right? This is really important because you're just gonna ramble on and it's going to go nowhere, right? But when there is a silence, there is a chance for things to start over or to continue, right? It's a very important thing. Of course, in a podcast, it's not necessarily productive, right, to be silent. I guess many podcasts are done with a scripted thing, but this is a nihilistic podcast, right? It shouldn't matter what I say, right? All that matters is that there are words, right? Words. I don't know what the thing is, alright? I mean, there are just two things in here. It's like, it's long-winded, right? And it's thoughtless, right? That's how I see this. Of course, it's not really thoughtless. But I truly want people to kind of feel like they were in the zone with me, right? We spent time together, but all I was doing was talking. I don't really know how to explain it. Yeah, it's like it just goes on, right? I mean, this is something that I have kind of found out over the past few months. It's like thought truly never stops, right? It's like thinking just continues all the time, right? There is no end to thinking, right? If you start with a little thought and it just spirals away from you until it is a non-ending monologue of noise, right? That's thought, right? It never ends, right? And this is why I think it's so important to put it in the form of a podcast, right? So that there can truly be I don't know, authenticity, in the noise, right? I mean, let me put it like, if I have something important to say, right, I will put it on Twitter, right? If I just want people to know I'm there, right, I put it on Tumblr, right? But if I just want to, what, right? If I just want to be, moving, right? If I just want to be, is there a word for it? Functioning, I guess the word is. If I just want to be functional even at work, right? Operational, what have you, right? Then a podcast might be my method of choice, right? I mean, I really don't see the point of listening to podcasts other than, getting through the day, I mean, I find podcasts to be calming, right? Sometimes, most of the time, I have found a nice podcast online. But I do this differently, right? I mean, I just can't do it. I'm not good at small talk, right? I just can't do it. I cannot invent lifestyles for people, right? Or whatever a podcast ought to be about, right? I mean, if there was a podcast like this already, would I listen to it? I don't think so, right? I wouldn't listen to my own podcast, right? I mean, yeah, this podcast really is, I guess, for people who like my Let's Plays, right? And who just want to hear more of my voice. I mean, my Let's Plays are an art, right? It's really exhausting for me to make a Let's Play, but I love to do it, right? It's a great activity. It's a great way to putter, right? I mean, I compose too at times, but that's hard work, right? If I compose, my whole life is taken up, right? But the Let's Plays, that leaves a lot of room for other things. Right? I can combine Let's Plays with my day job, and so on and so forth. Right? I mean, I really like to make Let's Plays. It's just a nice way to spend the time, and it might yield results, right? People might see my Let's Play and think this guy is the real deal, right? I mean, Let's Plays make make the game more enticing, right? They release the game to the people, right? I mean, I'm playing a fairly arduous game called Expeditions Conquistador, right? And no one has looked at those videos yet, right? But I plan to finish it, right? It's important, right? It's a kind of roguelike kind of game, but it's naturalistic, right? That's what I like about it. I mean, I truly feel like a Hollywood actor when I play that game, right? But I don't know what the point of Let's Playing is, right? I've thought about it a lot. I don't know what the point of gaming is, right? I mean, I play chess as well, right? And yeah, it's really hard to decide, like, what is the point of gaming, right? I figured at some point it was to drill you, right? I mean, this is what Jane McGonigal said, right? She said that games can provide you with resilience, right? Resilience. So yeah, let's say amen to that, right? I mean, yeah, games can give you resilience, but that's not really the point of gaming, is it? I mean, that's not why you release a game to the public, right? That's not why you would Let's Play a game. I mean, what do you prove? Like, look at me making myself resilient, right? I mean, yeah, you might say it's for pleasure, right? You play a game for pleasure, but I don't find it particularly pleasurable, right? I mean, what is something that is truly pleasurable, right, during life, I think taking a shower, right? Drinking coffee, maybe. Right, and that's about it, right? There's little more truly pleasurable in life. Yeah, I mean, listening to music is nice, right? But it still takes effort, I think, to listen to music, right? It's a way to spend your time listening to music, right? I mean, I've become much more active during the past few months, right? I mean, I play Sudokus now, right? I know I always took walks, but I could never spend the whole day at home, right? I always got jittery, and I just had to get out of the house. I had to get moving, right? Of course, I also spent a lot of time indoors because I was anxious outside. But yeah, truly pleasurable activity. Yeah. I mean, many people watch shows, right? They watch, like series. You know, I watch series sometimes, but I think it's really an investment, right? I mean, watching television is different than watching a show, and I don't particularly enjoy watching television. It's just a way to exist for me, right? I mean, yeah, it's like you're being entertained, right? But it's very passive entertainment. Watching television, watching a show on, say, HBO Max or something. That's that's uh that's that's an investment, right? And that takes discipline. You know, I mean, I don't enjoy it unless I can muster a little bit of strength. You know, if I watch a show half-heartedly, I don't enjoy it. Of course, you can get into a certain kind of flow, and then you just want to watch one show after another. And I'm sure there will be a day in the future that I would just watch shows all day. But generally, right, it takes energy, right? I mean, people forget how much of a slave you are to, maybe not habit, but to getting used to things, right? Yeah, I don't really know what that means, right? In Dutch, you don't say that, getting used to things. So yeah, truly pleasurable activity. Well, yeah. I mean, yeah, for me, it's probably writing, right? I mean, making this podcast isn't particularly pleasurable for me. Making this podcast is a lot like watching television, right? I mean, people. I think I would be happier in the Roman age, right? I mean, if I was an upper class Roman, of course. But those people really had the perfect lifestyle, right? Just eat olives all day, read some books, and then talk, right? Together all night, you know? Yeah, of course, you need the right kind of people for that, but for Romans, it was second nature, right? To talk, right? So that's what this podcast is, right? It's school, right? As as uh, uh, as the Romans used to call it, right? It's Otio's conversation. You know, I mean, when you read Cicero, right, it's like these guys, they have these endless monologues, seemingly, right, as a reply to simple questions. I mean, that's how people talked back then, right? It was just so laid back, right? I mean, nowadays it's all about power, right? A conversation is not fair anymore, right? We've truly moved past the gentlemanly age, but of course in the past it was also all about power, because in a little conversation there would be several people who did not say anything, right? Still, I think everybody got their turn, right? So yeah, conversation. I mean, writing is truly pleasurable for me, right? I mean, this is just like watching television, right? It's just, you're entertained, right? But it's not pleasurable, right? It's just this almost the same thing as doing nothing, right? Life would be meaningless without it, right? I'm not saying my life would be meaningless without television, but if I didn't have television and I didn't have conversation, right? I didn't have school, right? In the old sense, right? School is an OTO's conversation. OTO's talk. I mean, if you don't have school, if you don't have television, then life is meaningless, right? I mean, life is very simple, as Confucius said, right? I mean, great leaders solve their conflicts with words, right? As Command and Conquer generals put it, right? It's like, of course life is hard, right? But it can be simple, right? You can solve all your conflicts with words, right? That's what smart people do, right? But as I say, my truly pleasurable thing would be writing, right? Because when I'm writing, right, I'm going on a I'm going in full organ mode, right? I'm playing with my feet, I'm playing with my hands, right? It's a full body workout, right? Cardiovascular exercise. I mean, I go on an escapade, right? And yeah, then I'm truly I'm truly dreaming, kind of, and that's better than this, right? Which is just me trying to say something all the time, right? Which is fine, right? For an hour a day, maybe, when I have nothing to do, when I would be watching television otherwise, right? And that's what people say, right? If you don't have time, watch less television, right? As if it is a choice to watch television, right? I mean, I'm not addicted to television, and I don't think many people are, right? Watching television is just, yeah. It's just yeah, an apathetic, in the Stoic sense, right? An apathetic activity, right? Yeah. So say, pleasurable activity might be writing, because I'm truly engulfed in the action, right? But I also really like playing Sudoku, right? But that takes a lot of effort, right? I really have to reserve the whole day for a Sudoku, right? And I gladly do that because I enjoy it, and I think it's a great brain training, right? I mean, it's definitely not a waste of time, right? I mean, you think about it that way, it seems weird that depressed people don't get out of bed, right? Just that depressed people are unhappy, just play Sudokus, right? It seems that way, but of course, life is about making decisions, right? And yeah, making a Sudoku is not fun if you have no choice, right? And it's like you have to understand, like, that's not true. It could be fun if you had no choice, but doing it every day, right? I mean, I find it exciting, right? It's not simple to make a Sudoku, right? Of course, you get used to it, but you can make it more difficult, right? There's always one a more difficult Sudoku, and every Sudoku is different, so, and so on and so forth, right? Meditation can be pleasurable, but it can also be terrible, right? It can be terrible. Going to the movies can be nice, right? Well, I'm just going to say it. Sex might be pleasurable, but it's also always going to leave you wanting, I suppose, right? Unless you're doing it with someone you really like. But then it seems maybe that's also overrated, right? I mean, I saw a man today on the train, and I thought, and he had his son with him, and his little son, and I was like, this guy is a father, I thought, right? There stands a father. And suddenly I felt more okay with the fact that I might never have children, right? I mean, I don't. I mean, I'm autistic, alright? So, I don't, I don't, I don't, I didn't really know how to connect with people until very late in my life, right? I mean, it's not like I didn't have a social life before, but I didn't really connect with people, right? I mean, when I think back on my life, I can think of only one or two moments that I really connected with someone, that had contact with people. And that was like when I was like doing all kinds of weird stuff. I was completely out of my mind, right? Just to get that kind of contact. I mean, I'm a pretty heavy autist, I guess, right? But I'm hopeful, right? I mean, I'm 30 now, and I don't think I will be completely alone. I will not be desolate, right? My whole life, right? I mean, and in many ways, it's a very simple human thing that that might have been less bad in another period, right? I mean, people think that modern days are easier for autists, right? Because there's technology to aid them, right? But I think modern days are actually harder, right? Because in the past, people were more sociable, right? People were more personable. I mean, people are more beautiful in the past, right? Not everyone, of course, but people are more beautiful in the past. That's why everybody likes old people, right? I don't particularly like old people, but old people are usually more beautiful, right? In some ways. So yeah, let's not say sex, but conversation again. can be pleasant. Communication, sharing life can be pleasant. But it can also be very unpleasant, right? I mean, yeah, truly pleasurable activity. Eating. I don't particularly enjoy it, right? It's not really an activity in my book. It's just automatic. It's just instinctive. So yeah, truly pleasurable activity. I can't think of anything. Yeah, I really just think taking a shower, right? That's for me the most pleasurable thing to do. I mean, I'm almost addicted to taking showers, right? I take one shower a day, but if I didn't know any better, right, I would take showers all day, yeah. But that's really unhealthy, I'm sure, and yeah, just talking about it makes me want to get in the shower again. So I'm not saying that pleasurable things don't exist, but yeah, I mean, yeah, let's leave it at learning, right? Learning might be pleasurable, right? Or, even as Einstein said, right, understanding can be pleasurable, right? But of course, yeah, he was a physicist, right? Now, physicist, right, that's not uh that's not just understanding, right? That is instrumental understanding, right? When you're you're a physics guy, right? Then you are looking outward, right? Or as Einstein said, you're looking deep, and it's not it's not just understanding, right? I mean, I think that's significant, right? Because there will always be someone, right, who gets life better than the physicist, right? I mean, I'm not saying physicists are nerds, right? I don't think that's per se true. But they can be nerds, right? And I mean, that's great. I think it's great that there's a place for nerds in the world, and for all I know, I'm a nerd, right? But I mean, I identify with Peter Parker, right? And he's definitely a kind of nerd. But there will always be someone who gets life better, and you will always have that thing in the back of your mind that says, right, I need more out of life, right? There's more to life than physics. I mean, in theory, right, physics could give you all the answers you need, right? But in practice, it only gives you, it's instrumental, right? So it only gives you, very, very unsatisfying answers. It gives you very specific answers even, right? It gives you answers that point to a part of the world, right? It gives you answers that don't belong to you, right? They belong to the world, right? Those answers, right? I mean, sure, you can patent them because you invented it, but yeah, you will always be left with that feeling, right? That you have to share these thoughts with your world, right? I think that's significant. Anyway, yeah. I just wanted to say, I don't know if it's important, but I really feel like I've made a big step. I mean, there really were times when I was just regurgitating complicated terminology, right? Whereas this time, for the past hour, I feel like I've really just been talking, right? In a free way, right? Yeah. I mean, it wasn't totally free, right? Because I didn't really take the time to think, perhaps. It wasn't meditative, right? It was industrial. I don't think so. But I still felt like I was just talking freely, right? As I say, it's kind of like watching television for me. Only nobody talks back, right? If there's someone were to listen to this, then maybe I would get a response, right? And with that, I'm going to end this podcast, right? If you have any thoughts about what I said, you can leave a comment in the comment section. If you thought this video was good, you can click the like button. Appreciate that. And you can even subscribe to the channel, although, yeah, you never know if you're going to upload again, right? So thanks again very much for listening, and see you next time, maybe in a Let's Play, maybe in another podcast. See you later. Bye-bye.